Hello Aqua friends, welcome to my channel. My name is Nicole and today I have 8 watercolor hacks that you may not have heard about. And I really think that they really help up your watercolor game. So let's get started. For my first watercolor hack, how do you avoid using tape in the painting process? Well, if you wet both sides of your paper, it will stay completely flat while you're painting. So you could spritz the back and front side with your water bottle, or I just like to soak my paper in the sink for a couple of minutes. And when you're done soaking it, you're just going to place it on your board. It really does stick really well. And then I just sop up the extra moisture, especially around the edges, because you don't want to make any blooms when your paper does start drying. So what this does is it allows you to be able to paint longer. Your paper will stay wet for a longer time. So you'll be able to put down all your colors and not feel stressed out about your paper drying too fast while you're trying to put in colors for a sky or any soft background that you're trying to accomplish. So in this example, I'm just doing a quick sunset and I'm able to keep going in and adding more and more paint and making it darker in some areas, and I don't have to worry about getting hard edges. When you're done painting, you do want to mop up the excess paint that is around the edges. So for my second hack, there is a common household cleaner that is magical when you use it with water. Can anyone guess? Dun, dun, dun! It's the magic eraser. And it's awesome when you use it in watercolor. It really is the neatest thing. I want to show you guys how cool this is. So I just take off chunks of the magic eraser, and then you do want to soak it in your water. And I think that it is great for lifting areas. For instance, if you wanted to make a ray of sunshine in a painting, see how nicely it lifts. You could even get it lighter than that if you wanted to. Now, if you made a mistake in your watercolor painting and you just want to erase all of the color completely, it really does a good job of removing most of the paint. So I'm going to do that in this corner here and just show you guys how much paint that this magic eraser will pick up and pretty much almost get it back to the paper white. So it really is pretty remarkable how well it lifts up. Look at that, isn't that cool? Another thing that I like to do with the magic erasers is take my tweezers and make these tiny little halo dots. So I take a chunk off and I'm going to soak it in water. And I love to do this for making sparkles on the water. I've done it when I've made fireflies in the forest, and it just makes these little bright halo spots. I think I have too big of a chunk here. I'm gonna take an even smaller piece. And I really take it with my fingers and compact it really well. And then you just rub it in a little circular motion and voila, you have a nice bright spot there. So for hack number 3, I want to show you what happens when you mix your paint on the palette first and then you make your shape on the paper. So yes, it is a very lovely purple square, but it could be so much more interesting when we add water first and let the blue and red mix on the paper. Together, you will get some more blue spots, some more pink spots, but you'll also get that transition of purple, and it's just so much prettier than the first example that I did. So, and it's so much fun because you could pick up your paper like I'm doing now and just let them bleed into one another. And you get some very cool effects. And it's way prettier than just mixing it on the palette first. And for my fourth hack, I want to talk about pencil lines in your watercolor paintings. So in this demonstration, I have a regular pencil and you do a nice light sketch, as light as you can. But sometimes you can still see those sketch lines when you paint over top of them. Now, what I have done on the left-hand side is a triangle using a water-soluble graphite pencil. And You just have to add a little bit of water and those lines will completely disappear. So this is handy when you guys are doing just a one layer painting and you just need to see those lines for that one layer while you're laying in shapes. As soon as you add water to those lines, they magically disappear. For my fifth hack, I want to talk about prepping for painting. I highly recommend that you guys do a quick thumbnail sketch of your composition and the values of what you want to paint using a tiny little charcoal sketch like this, just to get down your darks and lights and know where you're going. Once you're done with the charcoal sketch, then give it a go on a watercolor paper, just using black or neutral tints or Payne's Gray in order to do your value study. This is really going to show you where the dark and light values are and if the composition is pleasing to the eye. For watercolor hack number 6, I want to talk about masking and masking fluid and different options you have in this instance to mask out a large shape. I love to use this temporary adhesive paper and you can reposition this. It's very gentle on your paper and it beautifully masks out large shapes. What I like to do is I like to take my sketch and reproduce that so that I could cut out the shape on the contact adhesive paper and position that over your sketch. Then you don't have to worry about painting around your object. You can continuously paint in whichever direction you would like. So you just lightly rub it down on all edges and then you're able to paint without worries of any bleeding underneath. So just to show you how cool this turns out, guys, I don't have to worry about the contact adhesive paper. It will take as much water that you throw at it. It really is an amazing mask. So I could easily paint around my owl and not have to worry about which direction I'm painting in. I'm doing a very loose, soft background. So I'm going to let that whole thing dry before I remove the masking fluid. And I'll just show you how cool this turned out. So I just have to lift up an edge here and voila, look at that. You have beautiful edges that aren't clumpy like you get with masking fluid. It's just a nice sharp shape. For watercolor hack number 7, I want to talk about fine line masking. So what can we use instead of masking fluid if we need extremely fine lines? I love to use white jelly pens or acrylic markers to make fine lines. And so in this instance, I'm giving you an example of this turtle that I did, and I used the jelly roll pen. For this autumn leaf, what I did was I used a jelly roll pen to get all these lighter areas, all the vein work and details on the leaf. And then I did go over the whole thing with a green glaze. And so you just see it, a very subtle effect, but yet very beautiful and really gives this leaf dimension. And last but not least, my watercolor hack number 8, using alcohol with watercolors. So these make some very interesting circular shapes. And so I'm going to give you a little demo here on what this looks like. I'm just going to put some pinks, blues, purpley colors in here for a backdrop. Getting to the real deal here, I'm using a small pipette. They're super cheap. You could find them on Amazon. So as you can see, this makes beautiful circular shapes and they do look like dandelion fluffs. So all you need to do is add some stems and you would have this beautiful card to give to somebody. So here is the finished little painting turned into a whole bunch of dandelions. So I hope you guys enjoyed those watercolor hacks. Let me know what your favorite is and what watercolor hacks do you use. If you liked this video, then you will probably like the next video that I'm going to put on the screen here. The biggest mistakes watercolor beginners make. So check it out and I'll see you guys next week.